I missed the better part of this. Sorry, I'm trying to shift. I just ran to the porch. I just missed the better part of this, but this tree just came down. I heard this horrendous crashing, and this tree, what they call a widowmaker, is coming down. Of course, by the time I got my camera in hand, it's mostly settled. Let me get up off the ground because there's ticks here. That would be very convenient if this comes all the rest of the way to the ground for me on its own. It'd be really awesome to catch it on video. I'm not going near it. The branches up in here are cracking and splitting. And the tree that it's leaning on, I wouldn't mind if that came down as well anyway, because it's sort of in my way. If it ever fell, it would be on my tent. Of course, it's hard to catch spontaneous life situations like this on camera. It'd be so nice if that comes down the rest of the way for me. Come on, do it. Yeah, it stopped. As soon as I got up here and got my camera turned on, it stopped moving. That's unfortunate. I don't dare go next to it. It's cracking. Half tempted to just set up the tripod and let it record. As I stand here, by the way, I'd like to mention it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I just got home. I have been gone 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 7 hours. I've been gone 7 hours waiting at the mechanic shop because my rear shock of my car broke. And I won't tell you how much, but let's just say it has set back my tiny home build a little bit further. And I'm going to have to pick up some more freelance work to make up for it. So 7 hours gone from the house. Today's church, so I only have 2 hours to get any work done. And I'm sitting here hoping this tree will do something, but it's going slow now. It came down fast and hard and loud, but now it's just going to take its time while I'm recording, of course. Could set up my tripod and turn my back on it and then it'll fall. Well, anyway, it's coming down. By the end of the day, I think this is going to be fully on the ground and ready to be cut up into logs. And I'm not going to get any closer, but I'm going to say, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it's splitting nicely all through the tree trunk as it dries. It's already drying out and splitting from laying here. So I need to cut these logs up into their appropriate burnable size. Like that's 3 logs right there. And then split them and then lay them out actually right where they are. If I put a pallet down here, or just, heck, I can just lay these out on the ground, stack them up on the ground, they'll air dry and season well enough and be ready to burn for this year. Well, I just know if I walk away that's going to come down, but that'll be down by tomorrow, I'm sure. As far down as it is now, there's not much holding it up anymore. So that's a good thing, because I was going to come out here with my chainsaw soon, and I figured I'd have to start cutting on that. And I don't look forward to it, because that's a big tree. And I'm an amateur. Oh well. Alright, now I can crash, because I turned my back on it. No? No Murphy's Law? Not today. Okay. So, my car has a new set of rear shocks, which is in a way sort of cool. For one thing, I won't be embarrassed anymore from the rattling, horrible noise that it was making. But it's going to be sort of cool because I can jack up the rear of my car. It goes from 20 pounds to 150 pounds. And the mechanic only put 22 pounds in it. By the way, I can feel the difference I think I've been used to riding without suspension in the rear, and now I've got suspension. But I think I'm going to crank that up a little bit just for fun. Have a sporty looking car. I like the old classic style of having the rear end jacked up in the air. So I think I'm going to have some fun. I sure did pay enough for it. Might as well enjoy it. That's where I've been all day. I don't even know if there's time to get anything started now. Fortunately I ate in town, so that part of the day is done. I want to take all these leaves out of here and all that back inside behind the RV, which are a mess, and I want to get these mulched into the garden. I guess what I'm going to do is have a nice tea break and see if I got time to do that. Now on the weekend something came back to me. This is an old Parlor stove which I had gotten years ago off Craigslist. Now there's no brick inside, and it needs the fire brick because it's super thin steel. It's just, I mean, really thin. You can push on it and it'll flex under your fingers. It's an old 1905 Parlor stove, and but it needs fire brick, and you can't get the curved fire brick anymore. I've been to professionals, so I'd given it to a friend who was only burning paper in it, which is a sad use of it, and he gave it back finally after all these years. Anyway, I think I'm gonna paint it up and either put it in my tiny home as a secondary heat source, because it's pretty. It's really classy, and I can cook on top of it. The exhaust is out the back there, and it's got a cook plate on top. I might paint it up and try to find cut fire brick to fit it, or I can put it on Craigslist and sell it. So I'll give that some thought here. For now I got to get it out of the off the yard. It got rained on last night, which is stupid. So I'm going to get it inside the storage tent and out of the weather, and then decide what to do with it. Alright, well, it's time for a nice tea break. The tea that I made the other day, I'm going to have. First though, while I got the camera rolling, I want to show you something out here in the garden. It rained last night, finally. We got a pretty good blast of rain. By the way, I keep scaring myself. I put these snakes in the garden and there's another one. I put them there to hopefully stop the chipmunks, but they keep scaring me. Now here's something that bothers me. Some of my strawberry plants look very good. Now these are all the same, and some of them are getting burnt looking. Look at this. I don't know what's doing this. I have no explanation for this. These two plants are looking pretty bad. Of course, something's eating them. I keep removing worms from everything. These two plants are looking really bad. And the rest of the plants are looking pretty good. Well, except for that bottom leaf. So, I'll take that back. I wonder if it's something with the pine shavings where they come in contact with it. It could very well be, because it's only the bottom leaves. But this one is getting this on all the leaves, so that wouldn't take away that theory. I'm not an expert with strawberries, but I've never ever been able to successfully grow them. And speaking of which, I just threw away a strawberry to the birds. I happily showed yesterday how they're ripening, and instead of turning ripe, the one berry, actually this one doesn't look much better. The one berry, that one's alright yet. It looked like this yesterday, and today it was half brown and mushy. I don't know what's... This is how it's always been for me with strawberries. I've never been able to grow them. So I'm open to advice on that, because I'm failing here. But since it rained pretty heavily last night, I have a weed bed growing happily. But I also have, right here, I have corn. Corn growing. Poking up. That's good news. The rain finally caused my seeds to start opening up. So I'll start to have a garden here soon. And tomatoes are all good. Everything else is looking good. So I'm going to have my tea break and then see if I can get some work done today. Well, now it's 4:45. Getting ready for church, and I haven't done anything yet, sadly. Took care of some organizational stuff and discussed some possibilities about my tiny home. Time flies really fast. But I was looking at this old trailer frame and considering house construction techniques, and I'm really leaning towards the 10-foot wide frame on a tiny home, because I think I mentioned earlier I talked to a mechanic while I was getting my car worked on, and they have a towing service. I don't know if I mentioned that on the camera or not. While I was at the mechanics, they do professional towing, and they said I could go 10-foot wide. They would tow it for me, but I wouldn't be able to, which is no problem because I don't think that I would be towing it anyway. My truck, although it's a great truck, doesn't have the ability to tow a 32-foot camper. Sorry, I'm shaking a bit. The mosquitoes are horrendous since the rain yesterday. They've come out in full force day and night now. They just don't care. Anyway, so I was looking at the framing of this. Now, this original camper was built with, there's an I-beam construction, and in every 4 feet there's a little support brace for the flooring, and really it's nothing but a thin piece of metal and a little flap coming across, really thin. It's really not that rigid, and the flooring in here was a piece of 3/4 inch, might have even have been 1/2 inch, I'm not sure until I get down there, plywood laid out with just 3 contacts to the frame. Every 4 foot there was contact with the floor frame. My construction is going to have 2x6s every 2 feet. So I think going a little bit wider on the frame isn't going to harm anything. It's going to rest on the I-beams. So I'm only going to be out a foot on each side. I did the math using a 12-foot wide by 30-foot wide house, and I figured I'll be just under the 7,000 pounds weight with construction. I've got 3,500 pounds per axle capacity here, and I think if I go 10-foot wide I'll have less weight. And I'm thinking about, boy, the bugs are terrible. Every time I walk out without bug protection, they eat me alive out here, literally. I'm thinking about going without sheathing, and to save weight, that's going to save literally about a ton of weight, and using 2-foot 24-inch construction framing to save weight. Boy, mosquitoes are just... Well, let me take you inside and continue this conversation. Actually, I'm in the old camper now. Although it looks like there's a lot in here, it's just empty boxes and my wood stove and the actual camper stuff itself. I think I have a box or two of stuff to pull out of here, miscellaneous odds and ends. So I got some oil lamps in the back that I didn't pull out yet. But anyway, 8 foot wide. Actually, inside here is less than 8 foot. Is it? No, it's about 8 foot wide with 2-inch thick walls. You've got about an 8 foot wide living area, which is fine. But once you move in the furniture, you start getting this constricted living space between your like there's a dinette and there's the kitchen, and when I was working in here and a friend wanted to pass by, you'd have to squeeze forward a little bit, and it's really tight. And it's just, I had one time I had 4 people in here, and it was crowded, it was awkward. I had to take my monitor, which I had over here, break down the dining room into the I had to set up the dining room, bring the monitor over, set the computer on the dining room table, and we all crowded in there into the living area. It was crowded. Because of what I do, I often have visitors. I can't have the crowded space, and because of my church, I often have friends over. So I'm going to go a little bit wider on the interior. And as I was saying, I think I can pull it off, because look at this thing. This thing is loaded. Honestly, this thing is really loaded. It had your full kitchen, refrigerator, cabinetry, everything. Sofa, dining room area, everything. This was loaded, and it didn't exceed the rating of the frame. So I'm actually going to have less glass, less windows, which is actually a lot lighter than the walls are going to be lighter than the windows, I think, overall, because glass is heavy. But anyway, I think the flooring, which is pretty badly rotted in here now, I think the flooring should work out with my idea. I'm going to use 3/4 inch wood on the floor, and instead of having sheathing on the outside, I'm thinking and looking into construction methods that don't use sheathing. I'm going to have rigid foam. I'm going to have a 2x4 frame, 4 inches of rigid foam inside, and I'm going to then use a wrap, a building wrap, outside the whole complete exterior of the home. And to avoid heat loss, I'm thinking about having my wall outlets on the outside of the walls, and no holes and no chambers and channels running throughout the walls. So once the building is insulated, sealed, and wrapped, it's a solid windproof wall. There's nothing and no way the wind is going to get through. Whereas with common household outlets, often in many homes I felt wind blowing out of the outlets, especially in older construction. Very common. So this is based on my studies and the tiny home book I got in the mail, and some studies I've done online and talking to some construction experts. So pretty sure I know how it's going to lay out now. Now this wall here faces south and this is east, and I'm actually going to have this will be a passive solar porch on this section. These two walls will be glassed in for passive solar heating, and then about 8 feet in from the back of the trailer will be another wall with double sliding glass doors here, so that when the sun's shining on a winter day, I open the doors, let heat flow from the porch, the solar porch, into the kitchen living area. Well, the kitchen starts here, and then I'll move on with the kitchen and the living area, and then the study and the bed area, and then the loft upstairs. So pretty sure that's how it's going to go. I'm still looking at, once I get this frame stripped down, I'll know more what I've got here. But I think it's going to work out. So part of the reason I stopped working on this was to get the garden done, and the other is because it's raining continuously, and another is financially. I am saving up for my tiny home, so until I get the finances to buy all the materials at once, there's no point in rushing anything, because it's cheaper if you buy in bulk than if you buy bit by bit by bit. So I hope to be able to go in with a trailer and a truck and just get everything at once and then start my build. So, well, nothing exciting today, but I hope that clarifies my plans a little bit. Oh, I've changed my plans. I'm only going to go with the maximum height though, 13.6. feet on the height, 13.5 foot from the ground up, so my loft won't be as high and the thing won't be top heavy, so people can not worry, they don't have to worry about that anymore. Now the idea on my roof is going to be like this. I want the higher side facing south so I can have some windows up in the loft side. And so you can imagine right here is the floor of the loft, right where this original ceiling is. And then up there is the upstairs. And then of course the ceiling will, or the roof will start here and angle upwards in this direction. So I'll be able to walk half bent over upstairs. Where the bathroom was, you can picture here. Sorry, I got a bunch of empty boxes and containers laying around in here yet. But anyway, that you can imagine now coming through here to have a couple stairs and then having a lower level here, about 5 foot high ceiling on the ground floor. Then underneath is going to be a study area and some storage cabinets and a desk and stuff. And then upstairs is going to be a full stand-up loft, a full upstairs where there's going to be a lounge with some futons and my flat screen TV will be all upstairs under the peaked roof here. And then you turn around and you'd walk up a couple more steps and then you're in the short loft, which will be on the higher peak. And you'll be in the shorter loft where you actually have to bend down to walk through. But hope that explains it well. I've been spending some time in here, especially another thing, while everything's in here, it gives me a better overview of how tight things actually are in an actual camper. So I've been really using the measurements here, and actually once I get the sofa and the kitchen out of here, I'll have an even better idea. Once I get everything out, I'm going to spend some time in here getting the feel for how much space I actually have with an empty frame before I put things in. Then I can get a feel for how I'm going to build the interior of my home, and then get it all on paper before I demolish this totally.